Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Los Angeles Film School's virtual event where we'll be chatting with Evelyn Brito. Recently featured in Forbes magazine, mentioned as one of the top 50 Latinas who are innovating to sustainably and deliciously feed the world, actually in the top 10 out of the top 50. She's been featured in Negocios Now, Hola Bodega, Filmspiration, La Revista Hispana, Salud America, and Abasto magazine. Welcome, entrepreneur, creator, executive producer, and writer of Bodega Makeover and LA Film School alumna, Evelyn Brito. Welcome, Evelyn. How are you?
Good, good. How are you? Thank you for that introduction.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. For those of you who may not know who I am, I'm Cecilia Berry, and I'm going to be moderating this chat today. I'm the events director here at the Los Angeles Film School. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see. Let's start out with something fun, a little bit of an icebreaker. Okay, finish the finish this sentence. I create because.
I create because I want the next generation to continue telling their story.
Okay.
I think so. It just popped in my head.
Yeah, that's what these are for.
Yeah.
The next one is I represent for.
I represent for Latinas, for creators, and also my daughter.
Okay. Okay. Now let's start off by finding out a little bit about you. Tell us where you were born. Tell us a little bit about your background. Let's start there.
Yeah, so I was born in New York City, first generation Dominican American. My family came in here in the 70s and they worked in the assembly line. So a lot of factories, back then in New York City. And then my mom got sick of New York and she moved to Boston. Don't know why, not Miami, but Boston. I don't know, she fell in love with the city. So, we did a one flight ticket to Massachusetts. And I grew up in this neighborhood called Dorchester. But I would travel to New York every summer. So I would beg my mom, please send me to DR. Please, please. And she's like, nah, just go to your aunt in New York. Same thing. So I would spend most of my summer in New York City.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, when did you first realize that you wanted to do this entertainment business is what I'm going to call it,
Yeah.
as a career?
Um, I think I knew for a long time, but I didn't feel very confident that I was really good at it.
Okay.
So I sort of play with, I don't know, I just felt like maybe I should stay within my box. I was young, I was a young mom. I didn't know what to do as far as, I know I wanted to do something in the arts, but didn't know what it was. So I got a scholarship to this art school in Boston, but I didn't pass because I was dyslexic. So I had a lot of challenges. So I just like, you know what? I'm just going to go to hair school.
Okay.
I'm going to go to hair school. I'm going to get my certificate. I'm going to go ahead and move to New York, work in my aunt's salon. And she's like, see, I mean, a lot of Dominicans in that area. So that was my plan. And that didn't happen that way. But I finished my certificate. And so I started doing makeups and hair for movie sets.
Okay.
And on movie sets, I've noticed the director or the writing was off. So I'm like, man, I can do a better job. I was like, let me look into this. I spoke to a friend of mine and I was like, I think I want to change my career. I think I want to do more like film work or video, something. And he said, well, why don't you try public access television? I was like, oh, yeah, your Boston Neighborhood Network. They offer training for filmmakers like yourself who want to just do their own show. So I was like, interesting. So I knew I wanted to produce something, but I didn't know what I wanted to produce. So I was like, let me look at the lineup. And I saw a lot of church shows, a lot of community shows, and a lot of videos. I was like, wow, people need to laugh. So what I did is I created a comedy show. And so I produced a comedy show for 5 years. What I would do is I would go to comedy clubs and I would ask comedians. I say, hey, I'm doing a public access television show called Boom TV. Would you give me permission? Sign here. Would you give me permission to film you?
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of them like, hey, I'll give you a copy, because I know a lot of them are upcoming comedians and they don't have sort of like, a reel. I say, hey, it was a good exchange.
Okay.
But in that opportunity, I was able to meet Mike Epps. I met John Witherspoon. I met Dave
Okay.
Chappelle. So, that sort of kept me going. And then I just like, I feel like I want to pursue this more. So I signed up to go to the Los Angeles Film School.
Oh, that is so great. So how did you're in Boston and,
Yes.
and you could have gone anywhere else, right? A little bit closer to home. How did you discover LA Film and tell us how you got here to Los Angeles Film School?
So I did Googled it. I know I didn't want to attend school in Boston. I know I wanted something where hands-on, somewhere where there's a lot of work, where I can get my hands dirty, right? And LA was it. Plus, I had an aunt there, and she's like, "Oh yeah, so I had a place to stay." And then I went there, and I went in there, and I fell in love with the city. I fell in love with the school. I'm like, yes, this is where I belong.
Okay. Okay.
So
And and
I made the leap. So I did had to leave my son in
yeah,
Boston, his dad, for 2 years.
yeah.
But he would come and visit me, and I would take him to class.
He also was taking classes then,
He was
huh?
also taking classes.
Yeah.
So,
Um, I know the school must have been a lot different than what it is today, but
yeah.
tell me a little bit about, what were your favorite classes? I mean, did you have any like favorite teachers or favorite classes and did you take advantage of, maybe using that to discover even, further kind of narrow down what you're doing today?
Mhm. I think what I love about the school is that you try different things, right? Because sometimes you have this idea that this is what you want to do. I want to direct. But when you go in there and you try these different one, like, wait, I think I like this better. So when I went in, I knew I wanted to produce, because I've
Mm.
been producing for 5, 6 years on doing the comedy show. But then I was like, oh, maybe I'll try cinematography. I'm like, hey, I've done camera. And then I quickly learned I'm not a cinematographer.
Okay.
I learned that really quickly. I'm like, I can't change now. And how much you want for that lens?
Right.
But my favorite class was Larry Kostoff. He did line
Mhm.
producing. Um, and yeah, all the production classes were very fun. I did like the editing classes. I forgot the name of the teacher, um, but that was pretty cool too. But
Okay.
producing was my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you graduate from the LA Film School, and then what are the next steps? You have to go back to Boston.
I gotta go back to Boston. Yes, in the cold
Okay.
Boston. But I gotta tell you, just being in LA, there was a type of culture shock for me,
Yeah.
because being Latina and being sort of in the East Coast, you're accustomed to be in, like, I grew up with a lot of Puerto Ricans, Cubans. So going to LA, it was definitely a different Latinos, right?
Right, 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 right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
I
that's
learned a
true.
lot about the Guatemalan, because my aunt's husband is from Guatemala. So I learned a lot about
Okay.
that culture, and I learned about Mexico, and also the language. Some of the language might mean different for
Different words mean different things
different
for,
things. Yeah.
yes,
So I
yes.
learned, it was definitely a culture shock, but I did take advantage of volunteering different department, um, volunteering in outside projects. So when I was there, I um, worked for Maria Costa. She did a one-woman show called Macho Men and the Women Who Loved Them at the Kodak Theater. So I had an
Okay.
opportunity to be the stage manager for that. And that was sort of like, I just threw myself in there. Just, if I make mistake, I have somebody there who can correct me.
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
how did you discover some of these opportunities to do free work, but of course it would enhance what you were doing.
Mhm.
So how did you discover, for example, the show?
Uh, Me volunteering at LALIF.
Yep.
So yeah, so I network, just talk to people, just say, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to have more experience in the production or stage managing or whatever.
Okay.
So that's how I learned that way. And, and the good things, because I was able to take those skills with me,
Right.
those contacts with me to Boston.
Right.
So,
Okay. So now tell me, now you get to Boston, right? You've done all your stuff,
yes.
right? You've got your degree. Now you're in Boston. Now what do you do?
Uh, First thing, of course, I gave my son a big hug. And, I couldn't find any jobs. Unfortunately, there was no work as a producer, not even assistant work.
Mm,
I think, just I'm being very transparent that Boston has a lot of work to do when it comes to diversity. So it was even harder for me to get any kind of serious work or even an assistant work was a challenge. So what I did is I stage manage. So I was able to use those skills that I learned from Maria Costa's show,
mhm.
and I was able to apply that into those stage managing positions. And then I end up doing events, corporate events.
Okay.
It's similar to producing, but
Not quite, but yes.
not quite. But it taught me how to talk to corporate people, what are the things that they, who are they? What's a SVP? What's a VP? What's
Okay.
a executive director does, So those are the skills I was able to gain as an events manager for Color Magazine. And then aside, I was able to do some of my projects. One being Bodega Makeover.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So let me know. So now tell me about Bodega Makeover, because you've been doing this for quite a bit, right? And I kind of feel like it was one of those things that you created an opportunity for yourself, because again, a producer opportunity was not there for you, right?
Yeah.
So and before you tell me a little bit more about how you got into Bodega Makeover and how this project starts to come to life. Um, for those of you who haven't seen Bodega Makeover, this is a great time to show a trailer. Okay, we're going to show a little trailer of the show.
Oh, good. Yay.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Jerry Diaz, host of Bodega Makeover. Our mission is to connect community and family through healthier food options. And we're going city to city looking for bodegas in need of a serious makeover. Our first stop, Roxbury, Massachusetts, where Malcolm X first started his journey of becoming a historical civil rights leader. What better place? So guys, we're at the Madison Park Development Corporation, who's leading the way in building strong, healthy, vibrant communities. Let's go see if they have a bodega picked out for us. Come on. Wait a minute, nobody told me about all these stairs. Forget a bodega makeover, I'm gonna need a Jerry makeover. I am out of shape. Guys, this is Leslie Stafford. She is the Health Equity and Wellness Organizer here at the MPDC. Leslie, tell us a little bit about what the mission is here.
So here at MPDC, Madison Park Development Corporation, our mission is to foster a vibrant, healthy Roxbury neighborhood that supports the well-being and advancement of the community.
So tell me, Leslie, what are some of the challenges that you guys have here with bodegas in Roxbury?
One or two of our challenges is healthy access to food, and we're right in the middle of a food desert. When we walk into a bodega, one of the first things we want to see is more healthier food options in the front of the store and more of the sugary products in the rear of the store.
You guys are doing amazing work here. Wondering, do you guys have a bodega picked out for us?
Absolutely. You know Vega Brothers right over here on Dudley Street?
What's up, man? I'm Jerry from Bodega Makeover.
Hi, how you doing? Javier, nice to meet you.
Yeah, man, congrats on the makeover. So tell me, why are we here? Why do we need a makeover?
That was a trailer from one of the latest shows from Bodega Makeover. Now tell us a little bit more about what Bodega Makeover is. I think people got a chance to see, hopefully get a clue as to what this is. But tell us about the project. Tell us how you got started.
Mhm.
Want to hear about that.
Yeah, so bodegas, they're named differently in every community. So, in California, you guys call them what, tienditas, right?
Right, la tiendita. Yeah.
Tienditas. In Florida, they call them mercados. So, and we call it here bodegas. So, they're dear and to our community. They're like the heartbeat of the community, pretty much. You go there for anything, chisme, a job, hey, let me get groceries, I'll pay you later, kind of thing. We call them fiao.
Yeah.
Or what is it? The
like a layaway type of thing.
Layaway, yeah.
You get the product, pay later.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I, as a producer, I wanted to do something that, that I know. And the idea came, it was a little weird, not weird, but it was my daughter, actually. That's how the idea sparked, because she was into vegetables. Who knew? She wanted raw carrots, peppers. Peppers are her favorite, red peppers. So when I moved into this community in Boston, that was the first thing I did. I unpacked everything and I was like, okay, let's just go to the store and get you some peppers. So I went to 3 different stores and I couldn't find any. The third bodega, they had fruits and vegetables, but it was rotten. And because the refrigerator wasn't working. So I asked the owner, I was like, what's going on? And it's sort of the same story, it's a used refrigerator. I can't afford to fix it. And I left out of there with my 3-year-old screaming for peppers. I want peppers.
And no peppers.
Peppers. I'm like, So I had to take the bus to a grocery store, 30-minute bus ride with a crying 3-year-old. And in my head, I'm thinking, what is going on? Why does this person why is the refrigerator is broken? Why do I have to travel all this way just to get peppers for my 3-year-old? And that bodega needs a makeover. And that's when the light bulb came. I'm like, wait.
That's great. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Would be a great show. Why not? And guess who I called? I called Larry. And I said, Larry, listen, I have an idea. What do you think? He said, kid, you got it. He says, because he told me, he says, write what you know. He says, is this what you mean? He says, yes.
Write what you know.
Write what you know.
Yeah,
and that's how it got started. He was actually my first person I pitched to. And he says, go for it. And so I did my research. I found out that, this is not a problem in Boston. It's a problem everywhere. I discovered what a food desert is, what a food swamp is. We tend to normalize it. We think, it's part of our DNA. Where my mom is diabetic, I'm gonna be diabetic because it's just how it is, and it's not. It's just educating myself on sort of that healthy eating and what's going on in the community, and why bodegas made a switch, why they're not selling healthy foods, because at the end of the day, they're running a business. They are purchasing what people buy. If you go to the store and you're buying Doritos, guess what they're going to keep buying? They're going to keep purchasing Doritos because you keep buying them.
Right.
And sort of that educational piece was missing.
Okay.
And so, I did my treatment. I'm like, this is going to be hot pancakes. People are going to just buy it because it's a Latino show. And, this is what we need in the community. And so I took it and I went to Hollywood. Right. I went not too far from the film school. So I was part of NALIP. And NALIP had NALIP means the National Association of Latinos Independent Producers. They had like a pitch thing, like speed dating, but pitch dating kind of thing.
Okay.
Where you pitch networks.
Yeah.
And great opportunity. I would recommend anybody to do this. But they loved the concept. They just thought it was too wholesome. They just thought it was, I guess, they think maybe I should include like a novela, like a novela with bodega kind of thing. And I'm like, that's not where I'm going for here.
Because maybe, was it the time that all the reality shows had all the, that kind of drama that goes behind every show that you would see anywhere that was like a docuseries, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe that's what they were thinking. And you were
Well-
like, no.
It's like, can you imagine just coming in, open the bodega door like, Carlos?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was too much. But anyways, I decided not to listen to Hollywood
Okay.
and listen to my community. And I just kept working at it. I actually stopped for a couple of months because I felt like I needed to focus on something else. And I was getting rejected. I got maybe 100 no's, from sponsors, from, networks, from production companies. They're like, this is probably not the right time, or, I don't think it's a series. You should think about doing a documentary, and I just said, I felt like I need to continue to tell the story. It's so important for our community. And why just do a documentary? There's so many stories. There's so many bodegas and so many places that have a need for this.
Right.
So I just continue to develop my relationship with corporate companies, with our organizations like Mass General Hospital, and continue to develop that relationship. So that way, when it's time, for me to
You weren't giving up, because I think most people would think, okay, 100 reject, I'm out, I'm done. I'm going to move on to something else.
I just kept picturing my daughter eating that pepper,
Yeah.
kind of like she deserves it. Other kids like her deserves it.
Yeah.
And I know somebody's going to listen. So, you just have to pivot. And I pivot a lot. Okay, maybe the storyline is not working. Maybe I should focus on this, or maybe I should not get a host. Maybe I should do it myself. I'm like, no, that's not going to happen.
You can't do everything.
Can't do everything.
Yeah.
So I kept developing. I did little small videos. I did a bodega in Fall River. I went to New York and I visited a lot of them, same issues. And again, I also saw the disconnect, not only for bodegas, I saw the disconnect with nonprofit organization, that their mission is all about healthy eating. But then you have this bodega that's right in the community that you can be working with,
right,
to develop those plan to be more sustainable, right? So that's what I did. I just try to make sure that those connections were there. So when we do pick up bodega, then there's our organization that's going to be supportive once I leave. Once the camera's off, then they are faced with reality, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah. So you come in and you just don't leave like most reality shows and leave them on their own.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
that's
definitely
important.
the plan. Yeah. So I visited a few bodegas. I found this one in Roxbury, a mother and a son owned Puerto Rican bodega in that community in Roxbury. They were new owners. And they wanted to provide healthier options. I mean, I visit other bodegas and they were just sort of set in their ways. They're like, if it's not broken, why fix it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll come back. And so, they were really, and he was young. And I'm like, wow, it's very rare to see a young person that wants to have this business, because it's not an easy business.
Right.
So he says, yeah, let's do it. So I went to work. I got all my sponsors. I got a general contractor. I have all my materials. We were set to go. I have my production company, that I was very happy with. And I said, yeah, well, we're done. We're good. We can start in April. And then, COVID hit.
Oh, yeah. Like with everyone else, it's just, stops.
Out the window. So I lost all my free materials. And I also lost the general contractor. So I was not a very happy camper, but, I rather be safe, follow the guidelines, of course. And I just waited. I waited until we felt like, okay, we need to do something before it gets worse.
Right.
So that's what we did. We decided just to go ahead and go for it. I opened a crowdfunding campaign because I was short 10,000. And that paid for materials and also paid for the labor and the licensing.
Okay.
So I end up wearing the general contractor's hat.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do. I had a friend who knew about construction.
Yeah.
He knew exactly. This is because me and the bodega owner was like, no, we gotta do the floor. I'm like, no, I think the walls first. No, I think the floor. And then, so we needed, it's like that guidance, and
Yeah.
he was able to walk us through it. And I was negotiating, and that's how we end up doing it.
Wow. Okay. But you had done other smaller, shows around other bodegas. Am I right?
Yes, highlights, but not an actual makeover.
Okay.
Because again, it was a challenge for me to get those sponsorship, because it wasn't I can't raise, 45,000 on crowdfunding. That's just gonna take me a long time.
Right.
So I needed sponsors to help me make this a reality. And I was able to get some great sponsors that not only helped me supported the project, but also continue to support it.
Right. Okay. And then from here, you've got some other ones lined up now because you've got your sponsors, and you'll continue this hopefully to make over more bodegas. So next time we speak, it'll be, I don't know what, 5 more?
5 or 6.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah,
I love your tenacity though. I mean, I remember when you were a student, and I remember you always having this great energy nonstop and just going after whatever the goal was that was in front of you at the time.
Yeah.
And I think, it shows now. You're here, you're doing this, you haven't stopped. This is what you want to do. And I think it's something that's really important for the community. So I love that you're doing this, and hopefully it'll just continue to others will see it, and then they'll understand what's going on, and they'll want to participate with this, so that's awesome.
Sure. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, you have to take the good and the bad with it. Whatever project you're doing, you have to say, okay, see the big picture, know where the end goal is. But I think what's more fun is just the journey, journey of trying to figure it out. Like, oh my God, I lost all my materials. Where am I going to get wood from?
Right. Yeah. And continue to be creative. Hopefully something, one door closes, another one opens, right?
One opens, exactly.
There you go. So we're talking about bodegas, and now I got to ask you, all of a sudden, I follow you, of course, on Pinterest, Instagram. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden I see you with, at a premiere of In the Heights, and you're there with Luis Miranda.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. Now tell me a little bit about that, and tell for those who don't know who Luis Miranda is, tell everybody who Luis Miranda is, and why it was so important and so great when I saw that you were there watching In the Heights, and what that connection is.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. I mean, Luis Miranda, you got to Google him. He just has a documentary on HBO called Siempre Luis. Talks about his journey in the political field, as well as his contribution to the arts in Puerto Rico. So he gets it, and he gets the show. He's just like, I get it, So we got invited to go see the premiere in the Heights, in the Heights, in Washington Heights.
Oh, that is so great.
When I went in there, I'm like, oh my God, my peoples.
Yeah. You took your daughter, right?
I took my daughter, yes. And we had a great time. I mean, I loved it. It was a great movie. It gave me goosebumps because it really hit, sort of the cultural, like, wow, yes, finally. I was there with my little flag.
Your Dominican flag, I love it. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. I definitely I was very appreciative to the invitation.
Yeah, and it was great because I was watching it. I know what you were doing, and then to see what's happening in the movie as well. I don't want to give away too many spoilers if you guys haven't seen In the Heights, but it's the community that's around the bodega and how important that is to the community, and does it have a transformation at the end, and what is that? Again, I'm not going to speak to that, but I just remember thinking, okay, what a great correlation to what you're doing as well. It was just kind of, totally in sync, I'm gonna say, right?
Yes, and you know it's true because when you're actually doing something that's very similar, my advice is to also check out people who actually align with what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right,
so like with the Bodega Makeover in the Heights, perfect alignment. You know,
right.
so watch it, support it, because you have to start building your village
Okay.
connections.
I have some more questions, but I'm gonna, usually we leave the questions of the students or people that are on Facebook asking questions. And we leave those to the, last part of the show, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna do something different here and I'm gonna include one of the questions.
Okay.
Right? It says the singer Jenny, how can we get store owners connected to this resource?
Store owners to get resources. Oh, for the Bodega project. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I always love to hear stories. Please, have them go to my website, my Bodega Makeover. I'm always looking for the next stories. So I think what we want to be able to do with this project is to start a movement, any kind of movement. It can be a nonprofit organization that really, see like what we've done and maybe incorporate it within their offering. Maybe they'll have a better program for bodegas. Maybe there will be a scholarship, not a scholarship, but a grant for small businesses, because a lot of them, there's not a lot of options. And a lot, they don't qualify for a lot of those loans or those COVID. I mean, there's for COVID-19 loans for small businesses, a lot of bodegas missed out because they're not qualified. So, I hope that this sparks some kind of change in that. That's the goal.
Wow, Evelyn, I didn't know that they didn't qualify. That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
It's too bad. I was also going to ask this question, but here's another question from Facebook. What are the first steps to becoming an executive producer?
So many steps.
Main ones.
Name one. I think for an executive producer, you have to figure out, okay, for me, I was like, okay, how am I going to pay for this? Where am I going to get the funding? You also have to think like a business person, at the end of the day, you have to talk to your accountant, you have to make sure that you pay everyone.
Yeah.
And so, I would say hire smart people. That's what I did. I knew that I needed to hire another producer. And I hired this great production company, Anna One Street Productions, and they got the project. They were like, okay. And my job was to make sure that everything was funded.
Got it. And I know that you're in Boston, so this might be, I don't know if you've had any opportunity to meet any other LA Film School alumni out there and had a chance to work with them, but I'm asking a kind of a far-fetched question because I know that LA might be a little bit easier to do that than out there, but thought I'd ask it anyway.
No, not here.
Yeah.
I know when I was in LA, I did
Yeah.
produce a few projects for some of the students. But yeah, no, I wish, but no one's coming here. I think I'm the only one that came back.
Okay, well, we're going to put it out there. If there's any LA Film School or LA Recording School student, that alumni, I should say, who are living out there, you got to connect with Evelyn.
Yes.
And especially if you're Latino, Hispanic, Dominican, Caribbean. Right? Just connect with Evelyn. She's a lot of fun. She's a smart lady, but she's also a lot of fun. Okay, let me get to the next one then. Here I've got another question. Did you need money up front, or were you able to negotiate back-end deals when starting your crews and projects?
Ooh. Front money, yes. I did put in some of my own money for this project for sure. A lot of negotiation with the contractors for like flooring or the painters, they're like, they'll come in, they're like, oh yeah, $1,500. I'm like, I have 800. That's how much I got.
Yeah.
And so with my crew, so we did with some a barter agreement. So for example, Vita Coco, they were like, okay, we'll promote it. We'll give them a copy of the video, and then they will promote Bodega Makeover, but they will also support the bodega owner as far as purchasing Vita Coco. So they'll give them a good price, wholesale price. So I was able to negotiate with some of the what do you call it? The food, like Vita
vendors?
Coco. Yeah, the vendors. Yes, sorry.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I mean, my production crew, I was lucky. I met Rui from Anawan Street Production on LinkedIn. He reached out to me. He was like, "Oh, look at this Cape Verdean with curly hair and last name Brito." And I was like, "Nope, sorry, I'm Dominican." People think I'm Cape Verdean here all the time. So we started talking, and I really sort of liked their projects, and they love Bodega Makeover. They were willing to negotiate with me. I really wanted to hire them because A, they were smart people. Two, they were, it was a company that's a black and brown owned company. And I really wanted the community to see themselves. So when we were out filming, I wanted them to come to us and ask us questions. So that was important to me to make sure that diversity was there.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. And did people come up to you while you guys were filming? Yeah,
yes, I mean, the director and the cinematographer was much fun. But when they introduced me as the producer, they're like, okay, so.
That camera is much more attractive, huh?
Yeah, they're producing, like, okay.
They just don't get it, Evelyn. They don't get where that,
I'm fine with it. A little heartbroken, but I'm okay.
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, all the positions are so important, but to be an executive producer, you're wearing a lot of hats, and and without you, most of the time stuff doesn't get done. That's what executive producers do. They make things happen. They make the magic happen.
Yes. And they align themselves with people that can make things happen.
Yeah.
And some people think, they have this assumption that executive producers are bossy and rude and mean. It's not. I mean, not on a Tuesday. No, just kidding.
Maybe on a Monday. No.
Monday probably. But I have to adapt and work with them. And your strength, and okay, you're a good fit for this. You're a good fit for that. So as an executive producer, you have to sort of look for those talents.
Right. And do they expect you to be the executive producer? Do you know what I mean? Like, you come in with the crew, and are they thinking, oh no, you're the talent? Because, right? Are they expecting you to be the executive producer?
I think there's definitely a level of respect, that we have for each other. But there are times where I say stuff, they were like, no, that's not gonna work,
Yeah.
I'll have my blue sky, and they're like, how are you gonna make this happen? So you need somebody like that. You need somebody who's it's gonna be like Larry, who's not gonna sugarcoat everything, who's gonna be honest. And if you're wrong, then you have to, like, okay, you're right. You have to be open to that. You can't be just like, oh, this is the way I want it, this is how it's done. You have to be open to people's ideas. But also keep in mind that you have your big picture to fill, because at the end, mine was to get this bodega made over, but not only that, but also have the community involved in it. We just didn't just made it over. We made sure that we had those surveys, we had the community's input. When I got the architect company, they were there, and they showed it to the community, and the community made notes that we don't like this, we like this. Okay. So we can make sure that we have the community involved, because that's one thing we don't want to do is add to the gentrification that's happening in that community.
Right.
We don't want the bodega to look like a Starbucks.
Yeah.
We want it to reflect what the community stand for. So you have to take account of all these things, because sometimes you may have this grand idea.
Yeah.
But okay, is it realistic?
Yeah. Yeah. That's so important too, not to come into a community and think that what you think is the right idea is the right idea, because it,
Yes.
it may not be. I love
Yes,
that.
I'm the boss here. I know what, that's
Yeah.
because, I could just say, hey, let's just, oh, Haitians live here, or Puerto Rican live here, Dominicans. Okay, let's just do some mango, kiwi, plátano, yuca.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way. We realized that people wanted healthy smoothies. They want healthy salads, soups, and sandwiches. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what we did. We listened to what the community wanted.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that. Let's see. I've got another question. And then it says, and as an executive producer, did you have creative differences with your crew? And if so, how did you work that through, or how did you work it out? Or did you?
Yes. No, we definitely had some creative differences. I think that, again, when you're picking your crew, there has to be a certain level of course, respect, but also expectations. So when you're an EP, you need to set that tone, So with this production company, I would have said, hey, listen, we're wearing too many hats, or I'm wearing too many hats. Let me know when I'm going astray. Let me know when I'm going let me know when you feel like I'm getting weak on this, like, I don't think I can make this happen, So I think I was lucky in that sense that I found a crew. They were like, you're doing the right thing. We have everything here in place. We're just missing this piece. Because sometimes when you're missing a piece, you're like, oh my God, this is never going to happen.
Yeah. I'm laughing because it's so true.
Yeah. So, you have to have, and there are times where they suggested something. I'm like, no, I stuck to my guns. I feel like this contributes to the story. And this is why. You can't just like, hey, listen, I want this area shot to do all this thing. Why?
Right.
So when you're suggesting something, you make sure you have a backup.
Okay.
If you're saying, okay, I want this area shot because I want to illustrate blah, 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 blah. Right. Not because you think it's a cool shot.
Not because you said so.
Not because.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. So what are your favorite parts of the creative process? Like what do you have the most fun with?
I have a lot of fun, the writing piece. Yeah, creating the stories, talking to people in the community when I did the bodega, listening to them. I think that was the fun part. And also to the ending. Like Donna's done, like bodega looks beautiful. We're inviting all these people.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to sort of like make it a little big, celebrate it. I did this, I finished this, let's do a ribbon cutting, because I could have just said, oh yeah, let's just end it here. Right. But let's invite the mayor, let's invite city councils, let's invite the community, make it a big deal, because you have to celebrate those moments,
So important. Absolutely. And hopefully then you get more eyes on the project and more people, or more awareness, and hopefully the next Bodega Makeover show becomes easier to make.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And plus you get bragging rights, you're like, so.
Mira lo que yo hice.
I'm sorry, did you make up a bodega? Okay. All right.
Oh my gosh. That's great. Let's see. I'm going to go to a fun section, because I think, we've talked about some of the challenges. We've talked about how you've overcome some of those challenges. I'm going to do a quick kind of a round of what I call the fun section. And so you just tell me what comes to mind when I say the following word or phrase. Okay. Ready? Okay.
Okay.
And some of it I may say in Spanish just because you know, you and I
Okay.
go way back. So
Yeah.
música.
Música. Ah. The first thing that come out of my mind, you said?
Yeah.
Celia Cruz, of course. The salsa.
And how important is music to your project, to Bodega? You know,
Very much. You walk in, I mean, even I'm sure in California, even if you go into a Latino, store, you always listening to that bachata or the ranchero music, or, it's just sort of that connection. Like it feels like you're home kind of thing.
That's awesome. Do you karaoke? And if you do, what's your karaoke go-to song? You didn't think I was going to throw that one at you, did
No.
you? What do you like to sing to?
I leave the karaoke to my sister because she likes that stuff. You probably don't know this artist, but I grew up listening to her, and I think Dominicans, if there's any Dominicans here listening, I think they know who I'm talking about. Her name is Fefita.
Okay.
Fefita is a country singer from the Dominican Republic. She sings merengue ripiao. She's very hillbilly, like country.
Okay.
So I if I had to pick a song, it would be hers for karaoke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. When you build, we're talking about music. When you're building or choosing the music for Bodega Makeover, who chooses that? Do you work with someone? Do you hire someone who makes original music? Do you just
Yeah, so I do work with a music composer, and I listen to his ideas. I told him, I said, listen, I want something urban, something that connects us all. I don't want it to be too Latino. I want it to sound like, that sounds like anybody that lives in the urban community. So he's made some suggestions. I was like, perfect.
Okay. Okay, you hear that, guys? Because there's a lot of recording school students too who might want to eventually, if they get what you're doing, they feel the connection. You got to connect with Evelyn and throw some stuff her way. You never know.
Yes,
right?
please.
I'm all about networking, by the way. I so strongly believe in connecting one person with the next person. And of course, I work at the film school, been there forever. And so for me, it's about, also connecting you with other film school, recording school alumni in the community, because I think that just, building that community is so important. So earlier you mentioned LinkedIn, love LinkedIn, love seeing the connection with, right? That's a great place to start connecting, even as
yes,
students.
if you're prime producer, executive producer, LinkedIn is your friend, because this is a business, right?
Right.
So you have to make business connections. So yeah, LinkedIn is a good one. The other thing too, that I would recommend producers and directors is not to network with each other so much. As you're the director, don't network with other directors, diversify your portfolio. Network with producers, with editors, with musicians, with actors. You have to try other networks. You can't just, like actors just want to network with other actors. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. How are you gonna get work?
Right. Yeah. So network, diversify.
Yes.
All right.
Even if it's not in your genre, if you're a horror director, find somebody who likes to do kids stuff, because you might get inspired into something that they said. So you never know.
Yeah. A new kind of horror version for kids might come out of that. I
don't know. Maybe an idea will spark.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to my fun section. The word is comida.
Comida. Mango. I gotta say mango. Mango is a Dominican dish. We eat it for breakfast. Pretty much mashed plantains.
Okay. All right. We just talked about it, but I'm going to say it again. Networking. What comes to mind?
Oh, LinkedIn.
Okay. Okay.
With the whole pandemic, I just think LinkedIn has so much to offer. They have events like this. They have other stuff, even workshops. You can even do workshops there. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, before I go to my next one, my last one, it's going to be, I've got another question that I'm going to throw at you because it came in through Facebook, I want to say. What other networking groups should students be looking into joining? Now we're talking about the students. So if you're a student, who are you recommending outside? Because I still believe LinkedIn works for students as well. Are there any others that you, because, you know, I think earlier you talked about connecting and finding NALIP. Are there any others? I also know that I think you got did you get a grant from maybe a women's organization, I think, was it?
I know there's I Fund Women, but that's like a crowdfunding campaign.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a crowdfunding. I would say again, you know, those festivals are good to join and volunteer. I would also volunteer stuff that does nothing to do with film.
Okay.
I mean, I was part of the food project, and I'm also part of other organizations that has nothing to do with film. It's because you want to connect, again, diversify your network, because you don't know what kind of connections those people have. You know, I met somebody who worked at Mass General Hospital through a political party. Not political party, a friend who she was throwing like an event party for her birthday. And I met him through there. Nothing to do with film. And he became MG Mass General Hospital became my sponsor. So you never know where, you know. So my advice is to join, you know, like not like the NALIP, other those organizations, but also join other stuff that does nothing to do with the film industry.
Okay. And do you still do the old school, you carry around your business card, or you're just at this point, just how are you connecting with people when you meet those people who you think, this could be someone fantastic in my future? Yeah. What do you do? What do you say?
I use, again, LinkedIn again. So LinkedIn has this thing where I don't use business cards anymore. LinkedIn has this thing where it's like a bar, like one of those scan bar.
Okay. Yeah, like a QR code?
QR code, yes. And then I just scan their information and then I repost them on LinkedIn.
Nice.
That's how I do it.
Okay, fantastic. Future collaboration.
Future collaboration?
You have a dream future collaboration. If you could bring somebody, would it be network? Would it be, you know, you talked about, you know, some of the, you know, Vita Coco and, you know, would it like, or who? Or is there anyone that you think, man, if I could bring somebody into this, who would it be? Into this project?
I have somebody that I brought into the project for Bodega Makeover, but I can't say right now.
Okay.
Another conversation, another topic.
Okay.
I would love to work with Eva Longoria.
Yeah,
her. Oh my God, she's amazing. If I can, I don't know, be in the same room with her, watch her direct. I don't know. That would be a dream come true for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she's done amazing things, and I think she continued to support Latino content. And Zoe Aldana too. She's another one who I would love to collaborate with something. She's awesome.
Yeah. Do you have a motto that you live by?
A motto? Do the hard stuff first.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, as an executive producer, one of the things that I don't find fun is math. I mean, math, you know, just balancing my books. I'm like, I got to deal with finance, you know, but you just get it over with, you know, just do the hard things, something that you don't want to do it, just do it first. Okay. And then do the fun stuff.
Yeah. That makes sense. I like that. That makes sense. And kind of going into our final questions. What would you say to people who are afraid to fail?
Afraid to fail, that is a good thing, because failing brings new growth. You know, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn a lot about people. I mean, again, I had over 100 rejection for Bodega Makeover. Was that a fail? I can probably feel it was a fail. I was very emotional.
Yeah.
But I learned from it. I didn't take it personal. I said, okay, maybe not at this time. People that said maybe, I said, okay, I'm gonna put you on my list. I'll call you next year.
That's the way to do it. That's right.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And just pivot. I think failing is a good thing. It's a good thing.
Okay. So don't fear.
Don't fear it. Fail. Yeah. If you're gonna fail gracefully.
What's next for you?
I am working on 2 other projects. I can't say right now. And I'm also producing for Anna Wants Reproduction, that production company that I hired.
Okay.
Again, building your village, right? Because I want to continue to produce. And how can I produce is to network and to collaborate. So I'm now collaborating with Anna Wants Reproduction, and I'm producing some of their work. And just keep doing it that way. Just produce as much as I can.
No, okay. I love that. Okay. Not to just you're not stopping the work. That continues.
Work continue, yes. But I do have 2 passion projects that I'm working on. But can't reveal yet. Coming soon.
Okay. But you have to tell us, and then we'll put it in the newsletter, and then
Yes.
we'll share with everybody.
Yes.
Okay. And finally, we'll kind of leave with this note. How important is it? How important is representation
Oh my
for
God.
you? And for the future, you have a daughter. What do you hope to see in a few years, not in 10 years, not in 20, in a few years? What would be fantastic if, in terms of representation, that could happen? What would it be?
Oh my God. If I had the magic wand, I would. I think representation matters. I think, not only representation, but also becoming allies. I'm part of an Asian group here in Boston. Just again, venturing out and looking at other ways so you can support other cultural, right? Other people that are different from you.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. Because again, the representation, it does matter, and share things. If I see something that is, my Asian brother who was directed a film, I'm going to share that because I feel like his voice matter. And I think I wish people would do more of that, not stay within their box, like, oh, I'm Latina, I'm just going to promote Latino stuff. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You got to be open. And because at the end of the day, if you look at our culture, right, we're so mixed.
Right.
There are Latinos there that have Asian families. We have Latinos that, that have African families. We're so mixed, that I think that being open to that, is important. I mean, my son is half Jamaican. I call him my reggaeton.
Yeah.
So I wish also, I also wish that Latinos who are in sort of the high position send the ladder down.
Yeah.
There's so much, they have so much power there that they can make a serious change if they stick together. And also, and it's also very challenging for us as Latinos because we're this big umbrella, right? And within the umbrella, we have these little subgroups, like people Latinos all in one room. Guess what's going to happen? We're going to divide within ourselves, right? Los dominicanos van a estar allá, los mexicanos van a estar allá. It's like, what the?
Yeah, that happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, and I feel like we have a lot of work to do, as far as collectively, as Latinos, we have a lot of work to do. And it can't just be, that's why I love about even Longoria. She's not directing just Mexican films. She's directing other stuff,
right?
So I think that's important, that we need to support. And then I would also like to see more Afro-Latinos representation.
Yeah. That's
Latino
important as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Evelyn, our time has come.
No. Only 8
I
o'clock.
loved chatting with you and catching up with you. I personally have to say, I love the work that you're doing. My dream for you is that it continues to grow, to expand. And the next thing you know, you're in these diverse, different neighborhoods, not only making over, the bodegas of your area, but all of a sudden you'll be here in El Mercadito, doing a makeover here in LA and
In
in
Chinatown.
Chinatown, yeah, and making all those and just seeing this grow, because I do think it's important. I do, the minute I saw it, thinking, yeah, the first thing you walk in and you see is all the junk food, and that's what you're going to gravitate to. But to start to see, a mix of things, right, in every community would be great. So that's my dream for you, that just to continue to see this project grow and just, see you in different cities, basically.
Yes, that's the goal. But yeah, thank you for the invitation. I thank you for this. This is great. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month to anybody there. Please, on Facebook, please send me your little flag, wherever country you're from.
Yes, celebrar. Keep the celebration going. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Here at the LA Film School, we're going to continue. We're going to have some others that fall in this, for next week. And maybe hopefully the next week we'll close out through October 15th. We'll have a couple more events, so watch out for those.
Nice.
But let's see, where can people find you? Where can I send them to find you and connect with you and follow you? What are the best places where do I send them?
The website, mybodegamakeover.com.
Okay.
We're also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Yes.
Okay.
Am I missing any?
No, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. No, I think we're good. LinkedIn. Find you on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yes. I'm on LinkedIn big time.
All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you for your time. I know that you're very busy, so appreciate this. Loved having this chat with you, and continued success.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.